Hey Steve,
Hey, how's it going?
where are we today?
We're in Portland, Oregon, visiting Luna Technologies. I actually haven't seen their new digs here. Went to their old location, they've really expanded quick. I really like these guys. You know, I'm more of a cultivation, design, and equipment expert. However, I really get into the extraction business. And what I find with Luna is they're one of the only fully automated light hydrocarbon extractors. They're like craft at scale. And you can actually have automated SOPs that I think is pretty darn cool in these emerging markets, or MSOs. Let's check it out. Yeah, this Portland market has always been a very popular one. Extracts are always very competitive in this market, and these guys have just separated themselves from the pack. Hey, Jack.
Hey,
How you doing?
how's it going, Steven?
Good to see you.
Good to see
Good
you.
to see
How you guys been?
Good. Come on in.
Well, this is cool.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
What, this must be like a historic building. What they used to use it for?
It was a metal foundry originally.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they
Nice.
repurposed it maybe 5 or 6 years ago, and we were the first tenants in.
When did you guys move in here? This wasn't exactly where I first saw you
We
years
moved
ago.
in about 4 years ago.
Okay.
Right after we met.
Okay.
Well,
nice.
we moved across the street basically, so we were a couple
Easy
blocks
pick up and
down.
move.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
you've definitely expanded. So what you got going on in here? This is where you're doing your fabrication?
Yeah, this is our main assembly shop.
Assembly.
Yeah. So this is where we make all of our hydrocarbon extractors. All of these are our IO extractors, and then I don't think we have any Oberons manufacturing right now. But yeah, these are the IOs.
Well, those that don't know, so your skid here is a light hydrocarbon extractor called the IO.
Yep.
And what goes on with this? What exactly are we looking at with the IO extractor?
So obviously, when you say light hydrocarbon, we're talking about butane, propane, which is BHO, predominantly products. But what we have here, the IO, is a fully automated extractor, and it's recipe driven. And what that means is whether you want to make shatter, live resin, diamonds, sauce, live resin carts, you can pick the recipe on the extractor from the HMI and load the biomass and hit start and fully automated.
Whoa, so what's a typical runtime?
Typical runtime is about an hour, and then our downtime between runs, that's really like one of the ways that automation sets us apart. The downtime between runs is so low. So like it can be as short as 90 seconds. All you're really doing is opening the reactor vessel. All the biomass is stored in a filter bag. So you just reach in, pull it out, put the new bag in, close it up, and then we just walk over to our touch screen, hit the start button.
Is the system still pressurized when you reload?
It all depressurizes it and
Okay.
pulls a slight vacuum on this.
Okay.
And then it'll pop up a giant green light so your techs know that it's safe to open.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
And there's a lot of safety checks that the system automatically does. So whether it's pulling a vacuum for the first time before you run and then doing a pressure and safety check where it actually monitors the pressure and ensures there's no leaks before even starting the run, it also does the same thing at the end of the run and ensures that every vessel that you are opening is at the safe level
It's safe.
to open, and it tells you when to open.
Oh wow, that's really cool. So obviously the control panel that sits on the outside of, say, an extraction booth. Or
Yep. Another
walk-in
big safety feature that people don't really think about, but like if you get your operators out of the hazardous area, if they're on our touch screen outside, then you just eliminated the risk.
Right.
Because the risk is inside the extraction booth and they're operating the machine from outside.
So what connects to this thing? Obviously it must have chillers,
Yes.
heating elements.
Yep. We have chillers, heating, vacuum, and then all of our industrial controls. Yeah, and all of our systems, so all those systems, they all talk to our control panel. So our panel is telling your heater when to kick on, it's telling when your chiller should turn on and what temperature they should be at, when to turn on vacuum, etc.
So
And the system comes turnkey. It comes with...
it's ready to go.
It's ready to go.
Do you have recipes built in?
The recipes come with the system, and we actually, after the system's sold and installed, we come and do the commissioning, where we'll actually provide on-site training and make those independent recipes.
Oh my
with
gosh,
you.
that is so game changing, especially because I come across a lot of folks, and again, I'm more of a cultivation guy, but obviously there's a lot of extraction with my clientele. And man, there's a lot of like extraction artists that I find. So I feel like you're kind of taking that concept and flipping it on its head. But you're essentially the artist, but you've baked it into the machine.
I mean, really, it comes down to like how our company started, though, because Kyler ran an extraction business, and he had those problems that you're talking about, where Kyler knew how to make great extracts. He was an extraction artist, although he doesn't like to say that about himself. But
You scaled your artist.
Yes.
right, yeah, that's what it was.
That's
And
the
he was trying-
differentiator. Is a lot of people can't scale.
And that was my biggest problem, and that's what partnering with Jack, he solved all those problems with automating the system. When I was, a business owner and the extractor myself, I was felt tied to the extractor, and then I teach someone this complicated process. Now they either, wanted more because, they're now controlling the oil process, or they go leave, start their own company. My process just walked away. So it was that was difficult to build a business around.
I'm sure.
All the chaos, and then not even just extractors, but that's kind of one of the hardest parts of building a business is those employees and, maintaining that labor force, which automation completely solved for me.
So you knew the process, you knew the SOP, you know the plan. What's your background, Jack?
I had a background in engineering.
Okay.
So I was working in a completely different industry. Kyler and I have known each other since first grade.
Oh, that's awesome. That really is.
Yeah, we were just talking, and he was telling me about all the problems that he had with his equipment, with his business, and I came back I think I quit my job as soon as we talked, drove back across the US, and then started working on his equipment.
So were you making your own machines, or were you just using whatever was available in the market?
At that time, I'd bought a bunch of different people's systems, and, what I realized is all of these systems were just repurposed brewery parts, like, even like the sanitary clamps and being the material columns, those weren't engineered for extraction. Jack came in and took all of those pieces and the importance and why we were using them, and put it together in a way that was, absolutely designed for cannabis extraction, maximizing throughput, maximizing efficiency on the chilling, the heating, and built that all into, an automated skid that was totally, recipe customizable, where we can make any of those products across the board. But what's unique is we're able to repeat that process every time.
Right.
So I could customize a recipe, save it, and then repeat that process. And then what's even more special about that is I could hire Jack. He could come in and same day repeat all of those processes.
Right.
So, I also own an extraction company which uses this equipment. We're able to operate 24/7, 7 days a week. And because we have an extraction force of, 9 full-time extractors. But that would be so hard, so impossible to find not only the people, but train them to be able to,
And the consistency. I would imagine if you have that many people with a non-automated machine, you'd have such a deviation in product quality. I would imagine.
Well, now we have a lot of customers who are multi-state operators now.
So they can just repeat it as they cross the country.
They're moving across the country, opening up new labs, and just repeating their recipes. And because everything has remote access, they can manage it all from one place.
Oh, wow.
So they can log
Oh,
into
wow.
states, states that are thousands of miles away, see what recipe's running, see how it ran, get the data logs to verify that it was processed correctly. Yeah, it's opens up a lot of doors.
That is so awesome, by the way. And I remember when we crossed paths, so again, I was working on an engineering project and I saw your drawings and I knew, whoa, these guys know what they're doing. Just the detail that was in the drawings, how you guys show the piping and the color coordination, the different utilities, it was...
Which, is all pretty standard in other industries.
It is, but
It
not
just
as
wasn't-
much in this industry.
Yeah, yeah,
It's difficult, especially for like local fire marshals, local plan checkers to understand what's going on. So when it was thorough like that, I was very pleased. It made our
Yeah.
job much easier.
And that's
so
what
thanks.
we kind of learned that early on too, that all these fire marshals, lots of them had never seen extraction equipment before.
Right.
And so they're nervous about
It
it, and
seems
kind of
scary.
rightly so, yeah.
Yeah.
And so if you just give them a good document package where something that they can understand, something that's more familiar to what they've seen, it makes the approval process just so much easier.
So honestly, I'm just dying to dive into this.
Yeah.
So you started talking about it, I deviated the conversation.
So yeah, the process flow starts in the back. That's where we store our solvent. We have 2 solvent tanks for a total of maybe 130 pounds-ish of solvent, either butane or propane or any mix of the two. Those are both jacketed and insulated. We keep them around minus 65 Fahrenheit most of the time. And again, that's just for product quality. So load biomass in, we do a vacuum safety check like we were mentioning earlier, and then we'll flood it with solvent. And then we'll soak for a recipe determined amount of time. Then we'll drain the entire mixture through some filtration into our evaporator vessel. And that's where we just separate the solvent back out, and then you have a pure oil product that comes out.
Oh, that's awesome.
There's a decent
Obviously,
amount
there's
more that goes into it, but that's the
There's
basic
some sauce.
And then obviously this is a heated vessel which turns the
Solvent.
liquid solvent
Into
into a gas, gets recovered, and then goes back into the solvent tank, ready for the next run. Another unique thing about this system is it's the double solvent tank, and that allows us to recover into one solvent tank and fill into the material column, which it allows us to do continuous processing. So we can actually start the next run before the previous run was finished. So
Okay, that's kind of where I was thinking, that's why I asked, do you depressurize the system? So this does get depressurized, but it
Yes.
closes it off, so you don't have to remove the oil.
yes,
Exactly.
I see, so you can reload your next.
and how we're able to do
Right.
that is by having a passive recovery, but an active, pump on our other system. So while this system is the solvent's passively recovering instead of per se using a solvent pump, we're using the solvent pump as it's recovering to recover the pressure out of here to bring it down to a negative to load the next run.
It's how many sensors do you have in this thing?
Ooh, too many.
Yeah?
Probably, I think we have around in the 20s. Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Between the skid and our auxiliary equipment.
But what's really cool about that is it allows us to not only monitor, not only the temperature, but the pressure of the system hundreds of times a second, giving us the ability, to have a computer control it and maximize, the efficiency of the extraction, and then record all that data today, and then run the same material a week later and have a different yield or per se. I can pull up the data and see, was anything run differently? Was the problem in the run, or
In the
was
material.
there a,
Yeah.
difference in the material? So having all of that data, having the ability to see all of that and manage that is really important. Here's the frame. These are built locally. We designed and engineered all of the equipment, but we leave, the fabrication up to professionals. So we get the frame in, and then we also have, as you can see, this system's just about to be built.
Yeah.
Here's our 4 main vessels from the system. They're also fabricated in the US.
So these ship in from Illinois. They come in a set like this. We
So
try
this
to
is
get them
coming
about, This is coming in, yeah.
Okay.
So these vessels are about to be pulled and put on that frame that we saw over there.
I see. And I like how everything's capped so you don't get any kind of debris or anything inside.
Yep, it's all cleaned when it leaves and capped, and then when
Really
we
nice.
receive it, we clean it again.
Yeah, it's anchored down, bolted, strapped.
Yeah, we actually reuse all these crates, so after this one's unloaded, it'll go straight back to
Oh,
Illinois.
that makes sense because these are sitting on skids. So you just
Yep.
crate them up.
And you can see, so we have the frame, and then we actually have the parts that are about to be assembled. So we get it all organized, and we have a repeatable process on step by step how we put these things together.
Then after pressure check, we move over and we insulate all the lines. So I think this
Okay,
one
right
is
here.
almost finished with insulation. Yeah.
What are the chillers? I mean, I want to see the chillers still too. What's the temperature that you feed these things, roughly?
Minus 65, so the
Oh,
whole
wow.
system's rated down to minus 65 Fahrenheit.
Killer.
Yeah.
And it's not just rated down to minus 65, but it can maintain minus 65 through the entire operation. And again, it's not just the chillers, but it's also the engineering and planning that went into it and the quality of the pieces we're using. Like, this is a heat exchanger, which is involved on the recovery process. So in the recovery process, you heat up the butane, you turn it into a gas, and then what you want to do is recondense it. Not only recondense it to a liquid, but put it back into the solvent tank at a temperature that can be extracted immediately again.
Wow.
And that's why we use Exergy, which is the #1 brand for heat exchangers. And then also, it's about surface area. As you can see, there's over 280 tubes that passes through here. And
Oh, so these tubes continue all the way down?
they continue all the way down,
whoa.
and then the chiller hooks up through here and circulates and allows for more efficient cooling. And that's how we're able to, maintain those pressure, low temperatures. And because it's actually been engineered and, designed for the process.
Wow, that is so awesome. Well, what else do you want to show us? I could talk to you guys all day, quite frankly. This
let's
is
go
awesome.
look at the chillers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's look at the
Awesome.
auxiliary.
So here's one of our chillers. This is getting ready to get shipped out, but there's one of our water cooling towers.
Yeah, so how this works, right? You have 2 chillers that feed the system?
Yep, 2 chillers per system. They're basically identical in size. Like I said, one of those chillers was dedicated to the heat exchanger,
Right.
and then one chiller is dedicated to temperature control of the vessel. So that's the solvent tanks and the material column.
Okay. To be honest with you, I'd love to just see this in action. Is there anyone around the area you think we can go check out?
Yeah, we can definitely take you out to a customer site.
Okay.
This is Emerald Valley Processing. We're essentially a recreational processor for the Oregon market. We have grows, we have stores, and we have a wholesale license, and this is essentially our processing facility where we do all of our extracts.